a small kind of a story, more like a confession. I got malaria in the ashram one day. It was the second day when I could feel that there is some shivering. So one devotee said, well, here is this regulated dosage. 2 tablets, 4 in the morning, 2 in the afternoon and 4 in the evening. First day's dosage. And they were heavy antibiotics. So he said, with that you have to take, don't forget, there is a acidity regulator. That tablet, Resocin, he said, don't forget that. So that's exactly what I forgot. So I took 4 in the morning, 2 in the afternoon, and then there was like a volcanic eruption. I said, I don't feel easy, there's no peace of mind, what's happening? So, and he had gone out, he was still studying in college. So I asked, when is he coming back? This is not before 4:30, and it was just 12:30 or something. So I decided to read Sudama Leela. I distinctly remember. While reading the story, it was like biting iron pellets. I had no taste for the story, I had nothing. And finally Sudama becomes glorious and he has his palatial mansion and a beautiful body. And then the doctor comes and he says, so, hey, these 2 are still remaining. He said, you didn't take the acidity regulator with this? I said, I forgot. He said, my God, how can you do that? So then I took that, and after an hour or so, the whole acidity came down. Now, because linked with this unpleasant experience, this story kind of stuck in my mind. That Sudama's story means that particular day when I was so miserable. And then last month, after Kartik Yatra, I thought, let me study one particular Leela very nicely. And sometimes I will choose like this. 10th canto, chapter 80, Sudama Brahmana. I said, oh. And I was amazed at how much sweetness and how so many philosophical insights are all kind of hidden there. Hidden from my sight, of course. So I read it once, I read it twice, and then last week at CNJ, Devakinandan Prabhu's Bhakti Viksha, so he said, do you have anything specific? I said, yeah, we'll discuss Sudama Leela. So that's what I would like to share. Very quickly, I'll just give you 15 seconds, not much time to linger on. When I say Sudama Brahmana, what comes to your mind? Just one word.
Friend of Krishna.
Poor.
Puffed rice.
You can repeat, no problem.
Poor.
Krishna washing his feet.
Yeah, Krishna washing feet.
Krishna washing feet. Krishna's friendship with everybody.
Skinny.
Krishna washing his feet.
I thought skinny also.
He sat with Krishna on the tree at night.
Friendship.
Very common. So these are the things which are associated with Sudama Brahmana. Just 2 small chapters. There is not much of a heavy philosophical discussion in these chapters, but whatever there is, some of things which I would like to share, and we can also churn a little bit more. So chapter 79 has Lord Balaram moving around so many of India's, that time Vedic India's pilgrimage places. Lord Balaram coming to see Bhima and Duryodhana fighting, and he says, Bhima, you are more strong. Duryodhana, you have a expertise in the technique. With just technique alone, you cannot defeat his strength. And with your strength alone, you cannot defeat his technique. So, just try to patch it up. How do you understand, this is a question for the audience, how do you understand, whoever wants to speak can speak, how do you understand Krishna is a friend of Arjun while Balaram is a friend of Duryodhana?
understand something about it, but even then, for me, it's like Lord Balaram is infinite, but when I see Krishna Balaram, I'm like, really, Duryodhana?
Why? Why of all people Duryodhana?
Yeah.
Yes.
So, whenever there is a fight between two fighters, if one is weak and the other one is strong, you know this is going to win, and that match is not so interesting because you know the outcome. So, Lord Balaram being powerful and being so energetic and trying to support Duryodhana, it looks that this side is also going to be powerful, but that way ultimately he's supporting Krishna to show that it's Krishna's supremacy.
Okay. Anything else? Yeah.
I mean, I would just add to that, Balram does support Duryodhana so that to an external person it may not appear that, he is not having any support. But in the end, Krishna's support supersedes, whether it's like abduction of Subhadra or, helping Arjuna or Bhima.
Another angle could be Balaram is the original spiritual master, and Krishna says, I reciprocate with everyone as they surrender unto me, right? But the spiritual master goes beyond Krishna's mercy and extends mercy even to the most fallen. And who can be more fallen than Duryodhana?
Good. I once asked Jagat Maharaj as to why they have different tastes in personalities, whatever. He said, I think it's a case of transcendental split personality. That one side likes this, one side likes that. But generally the answer is correct. Yeah, that ultimately Krishna doesn't all the time barge his way through. But then with Subhadra's case, he definitely gave covert support to Arjuna in his bid to get her as his wife. So this begins with Parishit Maharaj saying, I wish to hear about other deeds of the Supreme Lord. Please tell me. He says that, O Brahmana, how could anyone who knows the essence of life and is disgusted with endeavoring for sense gratification give up hearing about Krishna? So this is the main theme that Parishit Maharaj always brings. The words used are different. Here, this is 1080 text 2. Visheshagya and Vishanna Kama Marganai. So Visheshagya means, Vishesh means the essence and Gya means one who knows. So as Bhakti Yogis, as people who chant Hare Krishna, this is one thing which we need to train ourselves up, slowly, fast, whatever, to find out the essence of anything. The essence of a calamity could be a lesson which has been unlearned so far. The essence of a happy situation could be the gratitude which we owe to the Supreme Lord. So anything happening in life, the essence, if we know, we can go through that experience. Otherwise, as I say, we revisit the same thing again and again. So the essence of milk is the butter, how it is extracted. Essence of sugar cane is the juice, ultimately sugar. Essence of sesame seeds is the oil which comes from it. So Chanakya Pandit's example, all these three, that how something could be there in a particular object, but it requires some training to bring it out. And he said similarly, the understanding of the soul, how the soul is acting within the body, without training you cannot extricate it out. Even those who deny there is a soul, they have soul, but they just don't know how to take it out. And second term used here is Vishanna Kama Marganai. Vishanna means to be disgusted. Kama Marganai is the material desire for sense gratification. The acharyas, I'm using the tika of two acharyas, Jiva Goswami and Vishwanath Chakravarti, little bit here and there. Why does someone give up hearing Krishna Katha? Or alternatively, what is the secret of having the taste for hearing Krishna Katha again and again? So these two, they give the secret formula that you learn to find the essence and you also try to give up the path of sense gratification. Now we need sense gratification, that also is there, but a wholesale dedication to sense gratification, that's what the outside world kind of promises. So that's where we need to slowly extricate ourselves. Anybody has this Veda base with you?
Yeah.
You are reading it?
You can access it online, vedabase.io.
I can put the link actually.
Yeah. Go to vedabase.com, 10th canto, 80th chapter, verse 4,
1084.
1080, 80,
I just shared the link on.
3 and 4.
Canto
10.80, yeah. Verse 3 and 4. Can someone read 3 and then can someone read 4?
English or Sanskrit?
English only.
English. Actual speech is that which describes the qualities of the Lord. Real hands are those that work for Him. A true mind is that which always remembers Him, dwelling within everything moving and non-moving. And actual ears are those that listen to sanctifying topics about Him.
4.
An actual head is one that bows down to the Lord in His manifestations. Among the moving and non-moving creatures, real eyes are those that see only the Lord. And actual limbs are those which regularly honor the water that has bathed the Lord's feet on those of His devotees.
Now, this is repeated in the second canto also. We have something like this. The real hands are those that worship the Lord. The real feet are those which traverse to the dham. Real eyes are those which take darshan. What could be the reason behind this kind of devotional statement?
Somebody who is like constantly absorbed in.
Number one, yes, constantly absorbed. What else?
Use everything you have for the service of the Lord.
Exactly. The one idea which is a cornerstone of Bhagavad understanding is like the president here is given the White House. Can he offer it for sale? He may, but
This one.
This one, yes. Actually, it will be taken as payment for services rendered by Putin, but anyway.
but technically he can't. So the presidential mansion, the prime minister's residence, or even in India, the local governor's bungalow, the vehicles which are given, it's that they are yours to keep and use, but not to abuse. So this is one of the most powerful techniques, that my eyes are Krishna's property. What does it mean? It means they are meant for a particular use. So taking darshan of the deity is the proper use of those eyes. My hands, my legs, sensory organs. So regarding the Bhagavad Gita verse which says Rishikesh, Rishika means senses. And by using things in Krishna's service, we can see Krishna everywhere. I think in this Yatra, Maharaj related a story of a lady, a female disciple, who asked Prabhupada as to, Prabhupada, you say a pure devotee sees Krishna everywhere. That means the moment you are a pure devotee and you step outside, you see, oh, Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. Is it like that? Like you don't see the sun, you see Krishna. You don't see the tree, you see Krishna. You don't see the lawn, you see the car. You don't see the car, you see Krishna. Listen to Prabhupada's advice. Prabhupada said, do you clean my room? I said, yes. So, do you like to clean it? I said, of course. I really love this service. So when you see my spectacles, what do you see? Oh, they are my spiritual master's spectacles. When you see my walking stick, what do you think? These are Prabhupada's walking stick. This is Prabhupada's walking stick. These are Prabhupada's shoes. This is Prabhupada's stationery. When you see those objects, first of all, you like to serve me. Then you see those objects. What happens inside? That I remember you. So you are happy to serve me. You are seeing those objects, and then when you see them, she said, I feel my love increase for you. Prabhupada said, that's what is the meaning of seeing Krishna everywhere. So you see the external features, but they make you remember Krishna. Because they make you understand that this is Krishna's property. So, from one point of view, you see those things. Like an ordinary person might see the spectacles, walking stick and say, oh, these are shoes, this is a walking stick. But because you are serving, there is love. So, that's the main logic behind these statements. So, Shukdev Goswami then says, verse 6, there was a certain Brahmana friend of Krishna named Sudama. They studied together, and he was very poor. So, verse 6 is important to understand that is it just a case of like somebody winning a lottery? Just because he's a devotee of Krishna and he goes to Krishna and then verse 6 is, from my point of view, it is so important. 3 adjectives describe Sudama here. Detached from sense objects, peaceful, and one who has conquered his senses. He is virakta indriya artheshu, prashantatma, and jitendriya. He is not attached to sense objects. He is peaceful in whatever he is doing, and he has conquered his senses. So, his wife, bless her soul, she muhu, again she tells him, isn't Dwarkadish your friend? And he said, yes. I have heard that now he has kept aside his weapons. What does it mean? By that time, Krishna would go at the beck and call of Hastinapur. One WhatsApp message from the Pandavas and he would immediately rush. So, once it happened that he said, okay, now the war is over, the Kauravas are defeated, you are kings now, can I leave? So, that's the time, yes.
So, Prabhuji, this is happening after the Mahabharata war, but before Parikshit Maharaj becomes a king. Right?
Yes. So, Krishna is ready to move, and Yudhishthira Maharaj comes and says, please don't go. He said, hey Baba, I have 16,000 plus households to take care. You just have this one kingdom and you just have, this one small family. I also have responsibilities. So they said, please. And Krishna agrees. Now this one thing is made into such a big important topic by the Acharyas who comment on this, that here is the Supreme Lord and how much he is bound by the love of his devotees. So what was for a 3 or 4 days kind of extended term became months. Finally Krishna said, now it's too much, I'm leaving, I'm going. And then Queen Kunti comes. And he said, just now we were saved by you from this Ashwatthama's Brahmastra. He says, better those calamities come again and again. So this is Queen Kunti's outpouring. Again Krishna relents for a few days, and then he says, now I have to go. So Krishna entering Dwarka also is a very nice, rich, nourishing sentiments shown there. After that he doesn't move out much. He is just concentrating on affairs of Dwarka, administration, management. This is what Sudama's wife is hinting. That nowadays, now Sudama could have said, I can go, but he's very busy. He has to move here and there. She said, my lord, I have heard that he is not going anywhere much. So you can find him there. Sudama from his own side thinks that, how come, he will even entertain me, and why should he? But then at one point of time, what his wife says somehow makes sense to him. He says, all right, but what do I give him as a gift? She said, oh, I don't have anything. So she goes to 4 or 5 households, gets flat rice, uncooked flat rice, kacha poha. That 2 different varieties. And that she makes into a small cloth bag. Sudama takes it. His question is, who will allow me inside? That means such a emaciated body. They say that these bodies are like so thin. If you go for an anatomy exam, you could be accused of cheating. If you want to count ribs or whatever, you just have to. So that's the Indian medical joke. He's so thin. Somehow he takes the help of few local brahmanas, crosses 3 main guard posts. Dwarka is heavily guarded. Padma Purana gives the reference that he finds himself just opposite Rukmini's palace. Now this is Krishna's arrangement. Of 16,108 palaces, he somehow comes bang in front of Rukmini's palace. Krishna rushes out. Sudama! He embraces him, brings him back inside, makes him sit on a throne. Meanwhile, everybody in the palace is, I never saw him. Why is Dwarkadish behaving like that with such intimacy? Krishna, first of all, soothes his limbs, gives him oil massage, gives him various worshipable objects, offers him camphor, a guru and garland. And then Krishna says, now let's talk. So they start discussing. Do you remember how once in our Gurukul we went to get firewood? I said, of course. And do you remember it was a winter's evening? Now winter in India or this tropical place is not so much of a likelihood of rain. But this winter, these boys have gathered some firewood and there is thunder, lightning, torrential downpour, high and low land simply becomes one mass of water, and somehow they survive. They have 2 things: survive, stay put, at the same time keep the firewood dry. Gathering firewood would be a major menial service in the old ashram situation at that time. The next day morning, Sandipani Muni comes searching for them, and he says that you boys are first class brahmanas. He blesses them that, number 1, everything what you have heard you will realize, and all the Vedic mantras which I have taught, they will actually be fruitful. There is a contrasting story in the Mahabharata. Karna goes to Parshuram and lies his way into the ashram saying that I am also from a Brahmana family and I have heard that your prowess as a Kshatriya Brahman is so much that you know all the arts of Dhanurvidya, Astra, Shastra, everything. So Parshuram kind of becomes very friendly with him, and they become so close that sometimes Parshuram would take rest by keeping his head on Karna's lap. One day, one insect comes and starts eating into Karna's flesh. He actually burrows a hole in his body. Blood starts oozing out. And somehow Karna doesn't twitch. He's like... But then the smell of blood and the touch of blood, Parshuram wakes up. He said, "Hey, tell me one thing. Are you a Brahmana?" He said, "Yes, of course." He says, "No. No Brahmana can tolerate this kind of austerity." So then he reveals that, yes, I'm not born in a Brahmin family. He says, "I curse you that all that you have learned will fail you at the moment when that would be your greatest need." And that's what happens when the final confrontation with... So just a small discussion topic. Brahmanas are supposed to be austere and tolerant. But a Brahmana's tolerance is what? What are the things that a Brahmana can easily tolerate?
Insults.
Insults. Poverty.
Anger.
Hunger.
Anger.
Anger. Yes.
Pain.
What is a austerity for a Kshatriya which he can tolerate?
Dishonor.
Dishonor.
No. Insult he cannot tolerate. I'm saying what he can tolerate.
Oh, can
Pain, suffering.
This bodily pain,
Physical pain.
physical pain, the pain of setting up a project, administration. Yeah, Vaishya. He can easily tolerate counting money, carrying money. If it is gold, whatever, big bags of cash, no problem. 11th canto, 17th chapter, 18th verse. Krishna tells Uddhava a little bit of a finer aspect of a Vaishya mentality. The Gita Vaishya, what does he do? Krishi, Goraksha, Vanijyam. Farming, cow protection, trade, commerce. In the Bhagavatam to Uddhava, Krishna says a Vaishya is one who atushti arthopachayai, never satisfied with money. The more the better. You may say, "Hey, Krishna says that?" Yeah. I told this to one friend and he said, "You made my day." I was hoping sometimes I would hear this kind of thing from the Vedas. So I said, "Wait." I said, "What? There is a asterisk there, small kind of a conditions apply." How does this kind of mentality prevent someone from crossing the ambition border or going into greed territory? So, atushti arthopachaya is there, but it is all tempered with Brahminical guidance. So, under the care of someone whom he trusts, this Vaishya, he says, "Can I do this project? It will give me $200,000 more dollars." Go ahead. But it is for this particular donation, this for this particular cause. So, rather than curbing their ambition to make more money, they should be trained as to how to utilize that. It would be artificial for a real Vaishya to be told that you don't earn so much. Because as we were having a small discussion, one territory is simple animal life. Simple animal means eat, sleep, mate, defend, that's all. No rules, no regulations. Harivilas Prabhu was making a point that in the Victorian society, just Victorian age could be just about 120 plus about 45, 165 years before today's age. People would be oh so gushing forth in their honorific. Even for a leave from your office would be to John Adams ESQ, Sir, I humbly beg to beseech you the favor of granting me 2 days leave. I humbly remain, sir, your most obedient servant. And American businessmen is like, Bill, I'm not available on second. Chuck. That's it.
I shot a note to my boss yesterday, I'll be out next week.
Now, with all this facade of oh so graciousness and the table manners, rules of law, of meeting and everything, there was such a rotten core. And when that kind of came to the surface with the First World War and the Second World War, it's sometimes interesting to find out how people think or why do they behave in a particular way. This is 1905. One lord, some scientifically minded lord said, whatever was necessary to be invented has already been invented. This is 1880. People are thinking, what more do you need? You have steamers, you have the spinning jenny, you have locomotives. I mean, it's enough for a modern life. To see how things change. So the point we are trying to find out is this, that when that rotten core kind of became exposed, so all the self-help gurus, all the people who, it's correct me if I'm wrong, but sometimes people just need someone to rationalize what their view of life is. Doctor, am I correct, Doctor? Of course you are. Good doctor, okay. $150, you take it.
5-star Google review.
And of course the opposite also not true, that you tell somebody on your face is, I think you are a mess. That also doesn't work. What are we supposed to do? So this is one whole area where it is just like animal propensities are either glorified or deified or taken for granted that this is how it will be. And suddenly we open up the issue of pure devotional service. Sarvopadi vinirmuktam tatparatvanvalam abhishekena sevanam bhakti vichati. But we do have, he made a very nice point today, we do have a bit of prahlad today in us. I wish I would chant more, I wish I could serve devotees. And then occasions like this, I'd like to cook for someone, I'd like to help someone. But there is also Hiranyakashipu, who also has not left us. So, Hiranyakashipu's understanding, if you see the kind of austerity he does, it's like, generally, anything you hear in the Bhagavatam has to be something special, that's why it's there. Just take it for granted. The most noticeable or the most outstanding events are there. Otherwise, they won't have earned their place there. So, he gave the example, I had also heard it before, that Stalin had such a huge distrust of anybody else that when he required a minor surgery, he says, don't you dare sedate me. I won't agree for that. But they said, but sir, it means pain. He says, I can tolerate pain. So like with a wooden bit in his mouth. But he tolerated that. Why? Because he cannot trust anyone that if he gives me chloroform, what if he just twists my neck? So these are the people, Stalin, Hitler, Mao, after their death, of course, these things come up. That excessive desire for control, that excessive desire for self-aggrandizement. Hiranyakashipu can tolerate all kinds of austerities for that. Because we see austerity, super austere life. Once you get what you want, no more austerities. And we also could be kind of tempted into that kind of thing, the chant, 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 chant. After some time, when do you get relief from chanting? Or, when does the curriculum end? Radha Govind Maharaj says that in one of his village classes, somebody, he gave a long Bhagavatam class. Any questions? So one man had his hand up. He said, yes. He says, when does this thing end? So he said that was the only question he had. When does this end? So sometimes we get terrified by Prabhupada's explanation that what do you gain from chanting Hare Krishna? Chanting Hare Krishna.
That's right.
Of course, many times you don't give a purport, but the fact is that the very presence of Krishna in the center of activities, there is so much of joy, there is so much of bliss, there is so much of satisfaction, and that simply has to be tasted. Like how long can you describe a gulab jamun to somebody who has not seen it? So what Prabhupada did was, rather than giving too many lengthy sermons, he said chant, dance, take prasad. So this is the mental model. There is our outside life, job, business, whatever, which is like that animalistic world. Yonder there, beyond the horizon, lies pure devotion service. Varnashram is like the bridge which you can cross over it. So there, a simplistic, honest assessment of your own likes and dislikes goes a long way. It can change. 20 years ago, you could be having some desire for this. Today you may say, not so much. That may happen. Some core things may change, some may not change. One leader, he gave a class on how Krishna consciousness means everything changes for the better. Prabhupada did this, Prabhupada did that. After that there was a management meeting, and some 4 or 5 people were telling him that, Prabhu, you need to change your views, it can't be so rigid. Don't expect me to change. I come from a rigid South Indian Brahmana family and I can't change. Just a few minutes ago he said that Krishna consciousness change. So we have one set of change in mind when we say we change. We follow the rules and regulations, our language changes, our taste changes. But at a certain point, the core of who we are, that remains the same. And that's where Varnashram kind of helps us. Now it's not easy also, and it's not necessary that we brand ourselves as I am a 30 Brahmana, 25 Kshatriya, 14 Shudra, and then something. It doesn't happen like that. We just have various duties which fall in various categories. And we do them as a menial servant of the Vaishnavas, then things are okay. Any thoughts on this or any questions or comments?
I don't know how exactly it's connected, but you touched about a little bit of sadhana or japa. So Mother Yasoda, she never changed her 16 rounds, right? Like she's totally absorbed in Krishna, but we expected to chant 16 rounds, but she never chanted 16 rounds, right?
Well,
You never hear like
no, but what makes you think that
Nanda Maharaj sit down and say, chanted 16 rounds or Mother Yasoda. I mean, she sings in glorification of Krishna. You hear story she sing, but never chanted 16 rounds.
okay, why do we chant 16 rounds?
To be absorbed in Krishna is
One.
Yeah.
Why do we
We
chant?
love Krishna.
Because we love Krishna, therefore we chant 16 rounds?
We want to
Like
achieve the
Okay, we
love.
want to achieve.
Yeah.
So that's the difference between those who have and those who want to achieve.
Right. So it's only for us,
Exactly.
sadhakas, to have 16 rounds.
Sadhan bhakti Kriti sadhya bhavet sadhya bhava sa sadhana vida. Rupa Goswami says, Kriti sadhya. I love Bhakti Chaitanya Maharaj's definition. He says, sadhan bhakti means loving Krishna when there is no love for Krishna.
Yes.
So you are aware of two important facts in your life. You have no love for Krishna. That's a fact of life. And every day you are trying to love Krishna.
That's why this regulations is important.
So the heart of this regulation is the obedience to the words of a pure devotee.
Interesting.
Krishna doesn't see the outside effects. He sees that, why do you chant? Because Prabhupada wanted me to. That's considered obedience. And obedience to the words of a pure devotee, that gives you all the benefits.
Even if this rounds, 16 rounds, not necessarily pure, or not necessarily full of attendance, because of the mind.
Most of them are not attentive.
Yeah.
No, therefore, it happened in
Maybe
Chopati 1.
less
Somebody said,
intention.
Maharaj, I take a vow, I will attentively chant 16 rounds minimum every day. And Maharaj said, don't take this vow. Because
Not gonna
would you vow to chant attentively all 16 rounds?
You'll be chanting all day, trying to chant 16 attentive rounds.
Maybe a lifetime.
You take a vow to attempt to chant attentively.
Yes.
So therefore, material senses and Krishna, there cannot be any interface. He won't accept anything done with material understanding. But then we want to offer him. So who comes as the go-between? As the representative of Radharani. So it was on Radhashami class that Maharaj told us the inner software behind all our deity offerings. What exactly happens? A disciple obeys his or her spiritual master. The spiritual master is a servant of Nityanand Prabhu, a manifestation of Nityanand Prabhu's mercy, or a servant of the gopis. Both are coexisting. The sincere request of a disciple is taken up by Radharani. She takes that offering and tells Krishna, "It's actually better than what I cook."
Oh.
No, that's not true, right? So when Krishna sees that, he has this thing that, gosh, I have to eat this every day? Now I have a choice. One choice is, give that person the intelligence to cook it properly. Hey, since you are cooking every day now, take some intelligence and do it properly. Because ultimately I have to eat it. So Krishna is forced to give intelligence. Krishna is forced to give intelligence. And when Radharani says this person is a better cook, a better devotee than me, Maharaj once said that this is her normal statement to anyone. He or she is a better than devotee than me. He sings better than me. He cooks better than me. He dances better than me. He writes better than me. Anything. My senior in the BBT, he says that one name of Radharani is Vidyarthini, which actually means a student, a female student. So what is that Vidya which she always hankers for? How to please Krishna in all the various arts. So this and nectar of devotion makes it very clear. Radharani is nothing but the compassionate nature of Krishna in a personified form.
But doesn't Krishna see through it? Like she is saying, but maybe she doesn't really.
Correct. Krishna is infinite intelligence, right? With somebody with even minute intelligence, you can understand that this is a fake, this thing is not good. The only thing that can make Krishna forget his oceanic intelligence is his compassionate nature. So, an intelligent person is actually very strict. If you go by logic, by data, nothing compares. But when so there is Kriya Shakti and then there is Karuna Shakti. So Kriya Shakti is where, like if you go and tell Krishna, I am your devotee. So, really? And where were you all these millions of lifetimes? In the Rupa Goswami's Padyavali, there is a statement by a devotee, the author is not mentioned there. Krishna, when I see that your name is Dinabandhu, when your name is Bhaktavatsal, I tremble. That means you only show love to your devotees, but I am not your devotee. So I tremble at the thought. And then someone reminds me, but your name also is Dinabandhu, the friend of the poor-hearted. That gives me hope. When Ram Bhakta said to Ram, Ram, Sita next to you, Lakshman, Hanuman, but you are called Mahapatik Pavan. There is some lacunae in this picture here. There is something deficient. And Ram says, what do you know? There is nothing lacking here. There is a Mahapatik lacking here. If you are Mahapatit Pavan, I have to be here. Otherwise, who will call you Mahapatit Pavan? So this is how devotees try to
Get in there.
somehow get in there. Yeah, but this is how Acharyas explain that Bhaktivedanta Maharaj put it very nicely. It's a very nice graphic thing, you can imagine it. He says there is a counter which says rights. Your rights as a devotee. You joined in which year, the money you donated, the kind of grateful moments you had, the kindness moments you had, the rounds you chanted, everything all done, which is there in your CV, and you can put it there like a big file. Just go through it and you have to grant me access back to Godhead. He says, don't stand there. Because if actual scrutiny takes place about which actual rounds were actually proper, which donations were given more of goodness, and maybe nothing will stand up for scrutiny. Farther away is a counter which is closed, but it says mercy. He says better to stand opposite on that counter. Once it opens, he says, anything to declare? Nothing except my fallen nature. Come in. So he says, we devotees, we don't stake our rights. This is what I've done. Like the Jnani, this is the knowledge I have. Karmi, this is the punya I have. No, we don't have anything. Yogyata vichare kichu nahi pai. Bhaktivinoda Thakur also sings like that. So, we were discussing how the blessings of a spiritual master, it's 4 already, I'll just wrap up in 10 minutes. Okay. So Sudama is grateful, and then Krishna says, what have you brought for me? And he says, actually nothing. He says, no, there has to be something. Krishna sees him hiding something behind his back. So he snatches that cloth bag, opens it. Oh, black rice. He takes one morsel, chews it. He says, I have never tasted anything like this. Now again, you might say, is he putting it up, faking it or whatever? He goes for another palmful, and Rukmini says, stop. She looks at the attendants and she looks at Krishna. So the Acharyas say there are 2 different independent meanings behind these 2 glances. For the attendants, the understanding is, this is not good for my Lord's digestion, it's very tender. He's saying, this is not good for my Lord's digestion, which is very tender, therefore I have stopped it. To Krishna, the meaning is, by taking one morsel, you are making me give him opulence which even the demigods cannot imagine. With the second morsel, you will force me to become a maid servant at his home. And I don't want to lose my post here. So, Krishna gives Sudama a nice bedstead. Next morning he says, I'm leaving. He says, leaving? Says, okay. He passes through the same 3 barracks, soldiers. On his way back, he starts thinking, you didn't give me anything. Maybe it's for my good. In India, this story is very popular. So in Dwarka and in Vrindavan, there are other subtle threads coming from it. In Vrindavan story, Sudama is thinking, maybe he never gave anything to anyone. He always had a habit of stealing. So could be that nature.
He's very.
In the Gujarat folklore, some dacoits come and they say, "Hey, out with it, whatever you have." Now he just has one small dhoti, skin and bones, nothing. And they say, "Hey, he has nothing, leave him." So when they leave him, he says, "Thank God he didn't give me anything. Otherwise these guys could have killed me." Then he comes to his familiar small hill, then a forest, and then a clearing, and then a left turn, his village. There's no village. Palatial mansions, gardens, orchards, lakes, fountains, people milling about, heavenly bodies, fragrance everywhere. And Sudama is saying, "Hey, what happened?" And then a lady looking like Apsara, the denizens of heaven, comes and bows down before him and says, "My Lord, you don't recognize me?" He says, "Hey, she looks like my wife." At that moment, Sudama's body also gets transformed. So Acharya say that he was kept in his previous state so that she can recognize him. And then she says, "This is all because of Dwarkadish." She says, "Yes. Now my only prayer is that I don't become proud." And he doesn't become proud. He utilizes his lifestyle, remains the same. What devotion he would do before, he does now also. Jiva Goswami adds a point, and with that we will end our discussion here, that subtly Sudama was proud of his poverty. I like to be poverty. I'm not so much after wealth. Not that look at these, people running after wealth. Not in that sense. But and Krishna says, "No, I'm going to make you filthy rich. I'm going to give you opulences which you can never imagine." So, whatever state, there is this thing, whatever state Krishna puts you in, you should be happy. So Krishna may see somebody's opulence, if it's detrimental, he may take it away. He may see somebody's poverty, and if that person identifies himself or herself with that situation, Krishna may decide to change also. So, opulence or wealth from one angle is like a colorless, shapeless, odorless kind of thing. It doesn't help or mar your devotional service. You can serve Krishna in whatever capacity, whatever you are. Last verse of 81st chapter, Shukdev Goswami says that okay, 40 and 41st. This is Sudama saying, "Thus seeing how the unconquerable Supreme Lord is nonetheless conquered by his own servants, the Lord's dear Brahmana friend felt the remaining knots of material attachment within his heart being cut by the force of his constant meditation on the Lord. So he continued his meditation. In a short time he attained Lord Krishna's supreme abode, the destination of great saints." 41st, the Lord always shows Brahmanas special favor. Anyone who hears this account of the Supreme Lord's kindness to Brahmanas will come to develop love for the Lord and thus become freed from the bondage of material work. Hare Krishna. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavad Mahapuran ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Can you briefly talk about the benedictions that are given in these various Puranas? And like this Chaitanya Bhagavat is full of benedictions. Sometimes one chapter has like 4 different benedictions. So can you talk about that? Because sometimes it's not like, I hear the story of Sudama and I'm suddenly full of love for Krishna.
The understanding is that Madhurena Samapayet, that is one law, that every story should end with some sweetness. Just like every dham has its own sweetness, so it was in Ayodhya that our Rohinathan Prabhu asked Maharaj that Maharaj, you said this is the holy place, the holiest place in all the three worlds. So, but in Vrindavan you say that is the holiest place. So Maharaj said yes. Each and every holy place has that potency. Okay. So similarly, each and every katha has that potency to bestow that benediction on anyone. When reading Nectar of Devotion, Prabhupada clarifies that some of the statements which say that you chant once, take Charanamrit a little bit, read this story, hear the katha, and you will get it. So you may say, okay, I heard this, and now look at me, I don't have it. That's not the ideal point of view. If this is so nice, like check it out yourself. If some material thing is so nice, you do it again and again and again. Although there is a law of diminishing marginal utility. Here that thing is not there. So the idea is to give you an impetus to do it more and more and more. That is number one. So the sweetness or the greatness, that's always there. But Prabhupada clarifies in Nectar of Devotion, it may not happen to everyone at the same time, at the same place, at the same event. The potency is there. Sripad Ramanujacharya took some Tirupati Prasad and then he wanted Mukha Prakshalana, he wanted to rinse his mouth. So he took some water and he spat it out in a small lake. Some fish took that Mahaprasad, Maha, got a four-armed form and went to Vaikuntha. And the disciple said, Guru Maharaj, but we honor your Maha every day. He said, but that fish did without any sense of aparad or any sense of understanding. He just innocently took. And Mahaprasad decided to benedict him that particular time. That also is there. So we cannot barge our way into Vaikuntha. You cannot have a Harinam armored vehicle and just go through the gates and say, here I come!
I had one quick question. So when Sudama was actually having his loving exchange with Krishna, at that time, did he actually completely forget about asking for any, any material riches or any favors? Was he so much engrossed that he completely forgot?
Okay, good question. Sudama was already engrossed. We see that he's Prashantatma, Jitendriya, he's not interested in sense gratification. So then why did he go there then? So the acharyas are discussing it in their purports. Oh, his wife told him to. So maybe she is having material desires. But then she also, her character is so spotless, she is just saying that let my husband go, he will be benefited. So in this case, she is the one who told him to go. She is described as desireless for any material sense gratification. Sudama decides to go, he doesn't have any desire. So he was already engrossed. There also he was engrossed, and the 40th verse we say he was still constantly in meditation. So the opulence thing is simply a case of how Krishna can give his mercy. And when he decides to give, how much he can give. Krishna changed his small village house or whatever overnight. The understanding is just like a pious rain cloud. Why is that pious rain cloud? When the janta is pious, when people in the masses are pious, it is said that it rains only at night. So during day your affairs are not disturbed. Daily affairs. Krishna thought he actually exercised his fullest strength, mental strength, as well as whatever he can beg. But what I am giving is so puny and so insignificant that I can't do it in daylight. So just like some of the things you do stealthily at night, that's what he did. He quietly went did something, and he said, actually I'm shamefaced to do this in daylight. So he came back. That's how things are. Yes. How are you doing with time?
There's one other thing that Jitu wants to talk about afterwards.
Okay.
After this. So once, yeah. But you have a question on the class.
Yeah. So we started the class by mentioning essence of calamity is ultimately to get is to get Krishna.
To get into the essence of anything,
Yeah.
good, bad, whatever happens in our life.
So I was thinking on not similar lines, but I was thinking of asking you a question which was not related to the topic, but somehow this is the point which kind of joins to the topic. It was devotee or anybody who's going through, we may call it as reaction of karma, or we may call it it's a time where Krishna wants him to learn something, or it's devotee's carelessness or not being careful. Certain things come in the way as a learning. So is that necessary to have? Because does it mean that is learning different than experiencing, or you learn only once you experience something?
Slightly subtle topic you are hinting here. Like when I experience something, I touch a wire, it says don't touch. I got a shock. Okay, all right, I won't touch it afterwards. So is this experience necessary? Not all the time. Sometimes you may experience by hearing from someone else's experience. That's like the best kind of thing. One is you hear from others. Second is you experience yourself. And third is even if you experience, you say, so what? So the third one is simply a no-no for devotees.
Third is what? No, what did you just say? Last sentence?
Is no for devotees.
No for devotees.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, if I may understand, you are asking from a grihastha point of view mainly, or
Not
not
necessarily
personally?
from grihastha point of view, because yes, this is the perfect is when you hear from somebody and you don't do that mistake. That's the perfect.
Should I take a simple example about health? You kind of discontinue some medicine, or you feel disgusted, or you want to be seen as transcendental, and then your body kind of gives a backlash. So I am checking myself. Between 20 and 30, health is like who needs to talk of health? 30 to 40, why do people even waste their time talking about health foods and everything? 40 to 50, some truth is rearing its ugly head, and you may say, oh, methi cures your knee pain, or sesame oil is good for the scalp. Oh, good. 50 to 60, I tried that, but it didn't work. I also tried that didn't work. 60 to 70, the only thing you talk is health. And that too in a despairing tone that I wish somebody could have given me this common sense. So, as you grow old, so then you have this kind of thing. So, whether it is devotee, health, or finances, like gross things, or habits, japa habits, reading habits, or it's always. I am now embarking on this thing of, there's a Vaishnava Sangha, you confess, so that gives you mental strength. I have experience of that. I identified myself as an intellectual. I am not one, but I identified myself. I say I could take any purport. Chaitanya Charitamrita, Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, of course, but even in the tough sections, and I can read and I can understand. I don't need to really chant properly. As a chanting, anybody can do allegation, but to understand purports and to either explain or to make yourself understand. It was only when I could see my morning sadhana, the quality going down or the neglect, and Radha Gopinath Prabhu wrote a letter to me saying that people are seeing that if you are tired, why don't you get up and pace up and down? But what is this? I learned the value of a friend who can actually save you. The way he wrote it so gently, at the same time so firm. And secondly, that this is Rabindra Swarup Prabhu's seminar. It's still available in net. It's called Desiratory Audio. That why is the holy name called Vidya Vadhu Jivanam? Vidya is transcendental knowledge. Vadhu is a young girl who is about to get married. Jivanam is her husband. So the holy name is the husband of transcendental knowledge. And Mahaprabhu wants to give the example that wherever the husband goes, the wife also will follow. They all are together. So keep the holy name or the practice of chanting holy name. Nowadays you see there is two things have risen in popularity. Those long hours of kirtan, where you just want to come and absorb, and specific workshops dedicated towards chanting. Are you aware? Bhujan Prabhu is taking them, Sachinand Maharaj. At least two names come to my mind. So this is how you kind of make changes. It's like you tweak. Spiritual life also means taking inventory and tweaking. At one point of time I was thinking everything is set now, you don't need to change anything. And this was 2009. That time Google CEO said we tweaked our search engine 500 times this year. I said, wow, these guys are earning billions. But then I understood that's why they are earning billions. Because you're always tweaking it. Just to make it relevant. So similarly, tweaking here means, is there a better word for tweaking?
Refine. Improvise.
Fine-tuning or taking inventory as to where I am lacking, where I can, and not expecting, I just say, revolutionary change in anything. Sometimes 10% increase. A 10% increase in your reading habit. Maybe you just read 2 more paragraphs a day. A 10% increase in your concentration or 10% increase in your gratitude. You just have a habit of writing, these are the things I thank Krishna for. Once a week, once a fortnight, once a month or whatever. And they go a long way. I don't know that is or answers your query about experiencing or anything like that.
It kind of takes me to another level of question. Okay, as a devotee, we want to be more careful, introspective, keep fine tuning, but around the way we've seen multiple devotees, have to face certain things in life, especially which is visible in society, and that they do not, externally it does not look they deserve this.
Oh, like that.
And so you would see that this is such an exalted devotee and been practicing such a long time, and if something like that can happen to him or her, what
about me?
Yeah. Even if that devotee was externally to me it would look like they did the best what they were doing, and still they had to go through this. For example, Bharat Maharaj, he just got attracted to start taking care of the bear and letting go. I know it's a story and then we have to learn from it. The smallest thing looks like.
If you take issues like Bharat Maharaj's thing, then they are on a very different level. That story is there to teach you the essence of living in close association. So if someone on the Bhava stage like Bharat Maharaj had problems, what about you and me? So he didn't have any karmic backlog issues. If you're talking of contemporary devotees, somebody having issues, somebody having problems, then are you saying is pity an issue? You feel pity for them? Or you feel that this should not have happened to them? Or this person didn't deserve it and it's happened to them? What angle you are looking at things? If somebody is a leader taking a lot of leadership responsibilities and then they have issues, then the idea is that the one in the forefront will always get shot. If arrows are shot, expect your leaders to get injured. I mean, that's what they are playing, that kind of a role. They are in the forefront. So that thing is there. I think we look at these problems from various angles. Some of the angles could be highly individualistic. One is, it happened to him, then what about me? Who will take care of me? So although the concern is shown about somebody else, the real concern is about myself. That is one thing. Or if this person can, again, I don't know why Hari Vilas's class really stuck in my head today. He talked of one devotee. He was the best in his school, the best in his college, the best in whatever he did before joining ISKCON. And naturally, when he came, he carried that same persona of, I need to be the best in whatever I do. So dancing best, cooking best, singing best, brahmacharya ashram, austerities, everything best. And what happens, at least today it's a recurring theme in India, topper in school, topper in college. Once you don't get a gold medal, you get a silver. And you have seen people committing suicide because of that. So they see silver as the opposite of gold. Better as the opposite of best. It is not true in life. So if I aim to be the best, and why Krishna didn't help me at that particular time? So this devotee is now telling Hari Vilas Prabhu, in case you ever feel the need to leave ISKCON, I can help you.
I didn't understand that way.
He wanted to be the best in everything. You don't get that consistently in your life. So he had some experiences. But then he decided to move out. That hey, this thing, if I am not the best, then I am not in this field at all.
Oh my goodness.
That's the whole thing.
There's a saying too we use in the office also many times. Don't let perfect be the enemy of good.
Yeah.
Don't let perfect.
Be the enemy of good. When you end up you want perfect, you end up with something good, but you still want perfect.
Some devotees feel Prabhupada was a world conqueror. He wanted to make everybody Krishna conscious. Now, temples everywhere. In the additional pastimes of Prabhupada, the seventh book. 6 are from chronological order. 7th one is those which could not be incorporated there. Prabhupada is teaching one devotee that, do you see this ant? And he said, yeah, now I see now. Chant to the ant. And Prabhupada made him chant. He says, he hears this, he will get a human form of life, and that's how we benefit every living entity. And he said, hey, what gives? So at one point of time, Prabhupada had this big macro kind of outlook, had massive preaching, massive books, and he's also concerned about one tiny living entity. So I sometimes say this, when somebody says Prabhupada's stories, you learn more about the person than Prabhupada.
Meaning by which story did
Exactly. Somebody who's having mega ambitions, he said Prabhupada always wanted big temples and big distribution. Nothing wrong about that. Yes, Prabhu.
I think we should
Wrap it up.
wrap it up, and we can and then G2, you had a
Stop this.